Attention listeners, tonight's episode will be brought to you by the Retro Rocket Entertainment Podcast Network.
Back in Tunes!
Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Stephen Tony from AboveTheAirwaves.com, filling in for Michael Cook, talking about our ideal Saturday morning lineup.
We are hijacking the episode today, and regardless of how he normally runs it, we're going to run it our way.
We're going to be joined by Amy Smith, who's also going to weigh in her opinions on what to watch, what not to watch, and why.
Cartoons!
And, other things, but mostly cartoons.
Cartoons!
So, who wants to jump in head first here? I mean, so the way Michael explained this premise to us, we actually have zero clue how the prior episodes in this series have gone or what rules they follow or, anything along those lines. But this is how it was described to us. Let's see. Michael said it's basically a what if where you were in charge of your own network and you could schedule any kind of animation or Saturday morning shows on your network. What would you schedule and why?
All right, you want to do like a 1-1-1, and we'll all just start at the beginning and work our way downwards?
How would we start our series or our schedules, I guess?
So assuming it's 8 o'clock in the morning, we just woke up, it's Saturday, and it's our day off.
For me, I would have to start with Pirates Dark Waters.
All right.
And that's because it got canceled. They only ever made 14 episodes. I want to know what happens. I have been waiting decades to know what happens. I'm hoping that maybe Netflix will pick it up and continue making it because it was absolutely amazing. And did I mention I want to know what happens?
I don't even know what that cartoon is.
Oh,
I know,
Amy.
so sad.
Oh, they go out, they collect treasures, and they bring it back to stop the Dark Water from taking over the world.
What's the Dark Water?
Dark Water.
It was never really explained what actually caused the Dark Water.
Explained?
No, it's literally, it's like... I guess you could say that it's kind of like an oil spill.
Yeah, it's like
oil
spills in the water.
Like it's evil embodied in liquid water, but it kills off all of the life. It starts seeping into the land and makes the land unlivable. It makes people go evil. All of this sort of stuff. And there's these runes that the lead character has to find, and he uses the magic of those runes together to repel the dark water and eliminate the evil. But they stopped it after 14 episodes or something because it was one of those shows that just kept getting moved into different time slots and different days, and it basically went the Firefly route where it just got canceled because nobody knew when the hell it was on, so they could never watch it.
I hate that.
And
they made a game, so it was supported enough that people were interested in making a game.
Yeah, and there were toys, and it was an awesome show, but 14 episodes is all it lasted.
Yep, it was sad.
Less than half a year. Aww. What about you, Tony?
I like to start my mornings easy. I don't want to have anything too over the top to jar me out of my sleepy wakefulness. And I've also been a longtime fan of early morning international tunes. Used to have Robotech, Sailor Moon, and what have you. So I want my morning to start that direction, and I chose Gigantor, the space age robot.
Okay. So is this just a giant robot type thing for you, or is this that cartoon in particular?
Honestly, I didn't pull the clip from it, but it has one of the best intro songs in the history of intro songs, and I would want to wake up to that intro song. It is that wonderful. I'll see if we can now. Listeners, if you're out there, it's available, I promise you, and it's the most just rockin' intro song to anything to wake up to ever.
YouTube it, listen to it.
It starts off the day. It's about this kid who's a super genius, Dexter's Lab basically, creates this giant robot called Gigantor. He's a robot in his command. Yes, it's part of the song. And he's bigger than big. it's just a giant robot controlled by a kid who fights crime and other giant robots and things. I mean, it's super fun. It's an old one though, so it's not something that a lot of people are aware of. But I want my morning to start easy.
Who would like robots?
Now, Amy, you went a little old school with your first choice here. You said it was Looney Tunes.
Yeah. How could you not have Saturday morning cartoons without Looney Tunes?
Now, I can
that was
say,
double negative.
because of Looney Tunes, the only understanding of opera music that I have is a cross-dressing rabbit wearing a Viking helmet.
Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd.
And my forever hate of my animal friends being unable to play the piano, like cats don't play pianos. That's all Sylvester ever did with Tom and Jerry. They direct that piano. And here I am as a grown-ass adult and still no piano playing cat.
And that's just that's hardcore classics, right? I could see that.
Acme.
Yeah.
I love
Anything
some
Acme.
Acme.
What about second show, Tony? What would you do?
This one I went in that same easing into my morning, but trying to get a little more pumped up. And I chose a pup named Scooby Doo. I love the music from it. I love the humor from it, and it's just a very chill. It's now 8:30. My first cartoon's over. I'm easing into color because Argentor is a black and white cartoon. They didn't really, it was an old one, but yeah, just the lingo, the language, the humor. I just super enjoy a pup named Scooby Doo, and I think that'd be a great way to, get me out of my morning breakfast, edge into I can actually pay attention.
See,
I
I was
really
always,
thought about this.
I was always a bigger fan of Scrappy Doo's sarcasm than I was the pup named Scooby Doo type stuff. Especially when you had the Pound Puppies and Scrappy Doo crossover.
Yeah.
For my second cartoon, though, I'm again going to go with a show that was canceled that I really wish I would have seen more of, and that was Conan the Adventurer.
Oh yeah.
Particularly his pomegranate eating
bird, his phoenix
friend. Although you can buy this on DVD.
Yes.
So you can buy the series as it is. Thankfully, the Adventures of Conan or Age of Conan online game came out, and that kind of brought back a little bit of popularity, and you got to see the Jason Momoa Conan, which we now pretend doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But it caused a DVD re-release of Conan the Adventurer, which is awesome. And I'm going to stick with the fantasy. You don't want to mix up your genres too much right away. You want to stick right there and keep it going. So I'm going from Pirates of Darkwater to Conan the Adventurer. And on Amy's list, she has Batman the Animated Series.
Ooh, solid choice.
Now,
Mark Hamill is the Joker.
This Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, Tara Strong, just the introduction of Harley Quinn. That Batman the Animated Series.
I can just hear Killer Croc talking about rock throwing for months for the rest of my life. Just I threw a rock at him.
I hit him with a rock.
Yeah.
I think this has popped up in prior episodes.
Many, yes, it's a very key part of my just childhood love.
I hit him with a rock.
It was a really big rock.
A rock? It was a big rock.
But yeah, still, just
and going from there, keeping up with my fantasy theme, I'm going to go into Thundercats.
Oh.
Now, Thundercats was brought back on Cartoon Network for a while for Toonami. And it did get a little bit of a resurgence in popularity, and I do think they kind of cleaned up some of the episodes a little bit in the animation, maybe did some color correction. But it's, again, one of those things that I would like to see them just start back up and go. Because they never defeated Mum-Ra. What happened? These are answers I need to know.
As a kid, you kept watching reruns hoping to find new episodes because you didn't quite understand that it was canceled in syndication. You kept hoping, you kept wanting.
You're like, why wasn't there an episode of Thundercats today?
Yeah, right.
That was it.
Or why is it an old episode? I want a new episode. Have I seen this episode already?
Now, Amy went a little adult. mixing in some cartoons here? Because realistically, it's, you
Yes.
can pick whatever you want,
Yeah,
right? So, I mean, no rules.
Absolutely.
I don't even think it has to be cartoons, right?
Yeah, it's your Saturday morning lineup, I think. Yeah.
But Amy went with Archer, and I almost wish that I had rewritten my list to include some adult
You're
stuff
jealous.
here. Because,
How could you not love Archer?
yeah, it's great.
And
right?
it's a cartoon.
yeah.
It technically counts as a cartoon.
No, I kind of wish that I thought more along those lines too, because I heard Saturday morning cartoons and I flashed back to the 90s. I'm like, oh yeah, what would I wake up to watch? And I didn't think about what I want to watch right now as a
Yeah.
full grown adult.
What did I watch back when 6 a.m. actually existed in my reality?
And it wasn't when I went to bed.
You know, that sort of thing. So, like Archer, I'd support that. I'm not going to rewrite my list now,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if I could, I'd totally support that. It might show up.
I went a different route as always. I'm sticking to my theme. So remember, it starts off with Easy and the Gigantor, pup named Scooby-Doo.
Mm-hmm.
And at this time, it is 9 o'clock, so 8:30, 9 o'clock. So, I just had my breakfast. I'm getting my first wind. And I went with Fun Education. Hysteria. Hysteria was a very short-lived show that popped up in like the late 90s after like Animaniacs was needed a slots filled. And I remember having a lot of fun watching it. I remember just it being educational yet silly at the same time. And I'd like to have that as my, like getting out of my morning funk.
No Ghost Rider or anything.
Honestly, it was up there. Yeah, I do love me some Ghost Rider. Like I wanted one of those necklace pins, like you wouldn't believe.
I remember people talking about it when I went to school. Did you see Ghost Rider today?
That is good stuff.
And I'm going to keep up my trend. Show number 4, still working off the fantasy angle. I want to get a little out of the high fantasy and start working into, there's a little bit of the science fantasy, introduces some time loops, stuff like that in there.
All right.
We're going with King Arthur and the Knights of Justice. Our football team gets warped back in time where they become King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table to fight evil.
Oh man,
Right?
yeah, that showed me my list. I'll get to it in a minute here, but if I were to change up my list and have mine like as an action fueled, get up and rock your roll, I would open with that cartoon because like that opening song, holy crap, like that I remember rocking
It's
that.
second only to the X-Men
Yeah,
theme
just
song.
like it's just like if you want to get pumped, the X-Men theme song and then Arthur and the Knights of Justice theme song, like that'll get you pumped.
And Amy, once again, keeping up with the adult cartoon theme here. You got Family Guy on the list.
I didn't have a specific order, though,
Oh.
like you beautifully have set up there.
I spent a little more time on how I'd want my personal day to go.
Right.
Well, Tony, he just kind of plans these things out. It's
He does, and I'd wake up on Saturday morning and be like, what do I feel like right now?
Yeah. I mean, are you still wearing the tidy whities sitting in front of your TV at this point, or
No,
have you
I'm
gotten dressed?
boxer briefs.
Got
And,
some drying milk on your face
and,
from the cereal.
What kind of cereal did you go with?
Yeah.
for my morning, for this particular morning, I went with Frosted Flakes. Frosted Flakes.
Oh, classic.
Yeah.
See,
I
me,
almost forgot they existed.
I'm a Captain Crunch guy, but there's a balance you got to go with on Captain Crunch.
Yes.
You eat it too early, and it's going to tear up your mouth like
Yeah.
you're chewing on razor blades. But if you eat it too late,
It leaves
you
the
get
film.
that film that you just can't get rid of. No amount of, you could eat scouring pads, and it wouldn't get rid of that film.
You see, I'm one of those heathens where I actually like my Frosted Flakes half soggy, so I would have actually started it up at the end of Gigantor and started eating at the beginning of Hysteria.
I gotcha. And I'm going to carry on my fantasy theme
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
point. For not necessarily fantasy, because this throws in a little bit of the new age sci-fi and detectivism and stuff like
All right.
that, but I'm going to throw in gargoyles.
Oh man,
Nice.
gargoyles!
This was another one that I really wish they wouldn't have canceled. And I was
Yeah.
actually super excited because they said they were going to bring it back
Yeah.
for a while.
Dude,
And then
they got some really crazy places like traveling to Avalon and what have you.
Yeah,
Like,
where it
I
was-
wanted to know more.
And then all of a sudden, what was it, middle of season 2, season 3, it just stopped.
Yeah,
It's just gone.
And I think it was replaced with Mummies Alive. If you haven't seen Mummies Alive, go watch Mummies Alive. It's Mummies Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Which gargoyles would have been better. Should have kept gargoyles. Mummies Alive lasted what, like 3-4 weeks?
If
something
that
like
even,
that.
yeah.
You know, so what about you? What's pick number 5 here for you?
Okay, so I'm easing
Or
out
4.
of I'm easing out of Hysteria, and so far I've been very cartoony, and at this point, like I'm halfway into my half soggy, Frosted Flakes, and I'm like, okay, I want to get into some serious business now.
They're great.
And so I've decided that Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century. This one came out much later in the 90s, and it's quite literally Sherlock Holmes got reborn in the 22nd century. He has a like android Watson, and it's half action, half fungication, if you will. And that actually wraps up the last of my fungication block.
That's
Fungication?
Fun
It's
education.
fungicational.
I love that.
That's right.
I thought it was edutainment.
Yeah, that just sounds really like that. That just sounds unfun.
Fungicational.
Fungication just sounds fun.
Yeah, it does.
It's fungicational is a lot better than it's edutainment. Edutaining.
Entertaining.
Edutaining?
Edutational.
I don't know.
Anyways, so yeah, Sherlock Holmes in 22nd century. Again, another cartoon with a rockin' intro. Like I'm sorry, like I'm really huge on intro songs. Where does Amy go for her next piece?
Yeah, where do I go?
Oh, she's going with The Simpsons.
Oh,
The classic. We're in what, like season 85?
I don't know.
Right now?
Hey, Homer!
Is it? There's got to be like at least 30 seasons of The Simpsons now, right?
Yeah,
They're
no.
still going strong. I mean, it's a lot of repetition. It's kind of
Like-
getting old, but
Matt Groening. I mean, that guy is.
I would just start it from the beginning again.
What's really weird is that nobody gets old, but people die. It's like rather than getting old, we just kill people
Yeah, they
instead.
don't
So
age.
you can kill people, but you can't age people. Come on, guys.
Grandpa Simpson has got to be like 112.
I love that bastard.
So what's your next choice after that, Tony?
Okay, so now since we're actually getting away from like really cartoony stuff, this is where I bump in King Arthur and the Knights of Justice. Like last of my bowl of cereal, I'm getting actually dressed now, and I'm just rocking to just King Arthur and the Knights of
It
Justice.
just took you an hour to eat a bowl of Frosted Flakes.
Well, I was also fungicationing myself. Okay,
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay. Either that or it was like a punch bowl.
it was probably a punch bowl. I really like my
Super
cereal.
soggy, but that's okay.
And just downing the milk. But yeah, so now I'm tweaked out on sugar because I had a half bowl of Frosted Flakes, and I'm getting dressed and I'm rocking out to King Arthur and the Knights of Justice.
So, King Arthur and the Knights of Justice. I gotta ask you, what was it that drew you to King Arthur and the Knights of Justice?
Honestly, like the visuals of the opening sequence, just seeing like the sword come out of the chest and the dragons appear, and like them on the horses, that was super cool. And I was a little sad because like a lot of their abilities that come out of their chests and what have you that they call forth, they don't nearly call as much as they do in the intro scene.
Yeah, I honestly thought that it was one of those things that it was gonna, start being used more
Yeah.
in the series, but it got canceled before they could really, start hashing that out
Yeah.
so much with the characters, which is very disappointing to me. But not necessarily as disappointing as, some of the other entries on our list, like Pirates of Dark Waters. I think I've mentioned this. I want to know what happens. Then Amy, continuing on, I see you've got Futurama. Another Matt Groening show.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's good. That's good. I should have put that in my list.
Look in my smelloscope.
Get me my finger longer.
Just pretty much everything that comes out of Bender's mouth is gold.
Oh,
I mean, I don't want to say that every cartoon should have an alcoholic robot, but every cartoon should have an alcoholic robot. And I'm gonna go semi-classic, I think. with this next one. It's not necessarily a classic, but I like to think of it as a Disney Saturday morning staple. And that's going to be Darkwing Duck.
Oh, that's, you know, like I didn't even think about Darkwing Duck. That is gold. Oh,
Darkwing Duck.
When there's trouble, you call DW.
You know, you had Launchpad McCrash from the original DuckTales. It introduced a couple of newer characters like Penny, Darkwing himself, you know, but you still had, you know, all of the solid voice acting. Was it Jim Cummings did Darkwing Duck? You know, he also did Winnie the Pooh and, you know, that sort of stuff. So, you know, it was just entertaining. Every episode was very short. I mean, I was torn here. It could have gone Darkwing Duck or Freakazoid.
Oh, Freakazoid.
But
oh.
I went with Darkwing Duck because, you know, sometimes Freakazoid was just a little out there and it was a little too hard to handle.
Yeah.
And honestly, as a little kid, you know, I had the ADD style attention span, but not in the good way, where it's like, you know, you could watch something like Invader Zim and follow it the whole time because, you know, you just keep flipping through, you know, different attention trails in your head. You know, for me it was I need something that's going to entertain me, but, you know, I'm now 4 or 5 episodes in on my list, and I've got to have something that mixes it up, but something that's still not too far off. And, you know, for that, it's okay. I can handle the anthropomorphic ducks because I just saw some gargoyles, but I want something that's gonna, you know, balance me out here. I need my solid foundation, and for me, you know, it's going to be some Disney. That's going to be some ducks right there. Darkwing Duck.
No, that's pretty solid.
Where are you going with this, Tony?
So when I made this list initially, I had said I would go from King Arthur Knights of Justice to Gargoyles, which, you know, is a classic and a greatness. But
of course,
I'm actually swapping it up a little bit here. I'm going to replace that. I'm going to replace it with something that is more suitable for after the Knights of Justice Sugar High, and I'm going to go with the Mighty Ducks.
Oh.
Mighty Ducks, the animated series.
So you're also rocking the Ducks, I see.
Yeah, it's Ducks, but it's also a sports team, which also fits with my Knights of Justice football team. And you know, like I want to stay amped, and I want to stay amped in that group setting. And you know, I mean, like Gargoyles would have been great, which is my original like knee jerk reaction. But like the pseudo sci-fi fantasy with you know, all happening in Anaheim apparently. I think would be a better place for my my ending of my action block.
You know, and Amy's mixing it up just a little bit here. Instead of our duck theme, which, you know,
I actually never watched that.
Totally works for us. Amy's going with bears.
Oh,
because she's got Tailspin.
Oh, damn that!
You know, I actually gotta say,
Tailspin.
Oh, we are.
Tailspin.
Sorry, go.
I loved the Tailspin movie.
Yes.
I remember actually staying up because it wasn't going to air until 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
I was like,
really, of all things?
really young, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch the Tailspin movie. And, you know, it was like, stole the one cable box we had in the house so I could watch the Disney Channel in my bedroom. Probably got in trouble for it.
Hey, you know, we had to know what happened to Kit Cockkicker. We couldn't just let it run.
And then you got a whole series after it. I mean, that was... Tailspin was like an ingenious use of an otherwise not so memorable character. You know, you had Baloo from Jungle Book, and it's like, oh, well, he's raising this diaper-clad Indian kid, and now he flies planes.
Oh, King Louie. Now he runs a
I
bar.
liked the engineer.
They're orangutan.
I'm spacing on his name.
What was his name?
I don't know.
I don't know. Viewers, if you're listening to this,
It was a tool. His name was the tool.
Ratchet?
Something like that. Oh, that's gonna drive me nuts.
Listeners out there, if you know the answer,
please comment
so that we don't have to do the work to look it up. You know, but that's like, I think it's it's kind of in the same vein, you know, the Disney DuckTales, Mighty Ducks, Tailspin. I mean, realistically, I could have chosen any of those classics here, like the Chippendales Rescue Rangers, you know, anything like that. It just fits. You know, it's a solid staple of Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So where do you go from here?
So I had originally set it up to go from Gargoyles to Transformers and the whole action pack and, you know, what have you, pseudo realistic. But since I've swapped Gargoyles for Mighty Ducks, I'm taking it to another level. And this is kind of like my, you know, I'm now dressed. I'm getting ready to get pumped, and I'm wrapping the animated portion of my block. I'm going to non-animated in a second here with the Pro Stars. Pro Stars. I want me some Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Bo Jackson, fighting crime.
Okay.
Pro Stars.
I can see
And
that.
again, like a lot of the listeners, you'll understand. A lot of this is really like if you hear the theme song alone, it's all you need to just know what you're in for.
I think at this point, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to go into an underrated cartoon series that had nothing to do with the source material it was based on. I'm going to go with Real Ghostbusters.
Oh my god, I forgot about Real Ghostbusters. Oh man. And then like the new Real Ghostbusters after that. Oh, so
Where
good.
Slimer's just hanging out with the Ghostbusters like, hey guys, what's up?
We're friends. Hey.
I'd forgotten about that. I was disappointed with that cartoon.
I love that cartoon.
It was one of those cartoons that if you only watched like one episode of it, it seemed like a giant steaming pile of poo.
So you,
But if you stuck it out, like it
is it
grows
because you
on
have to watch
real
and
quick.
follow the story and know what the fuck is going on, or what?
No, it was very episodical, but the characters grew on you.
Yeah, it was. It's really one of those things where it's off-putting until the characters grow on you and you get attached to them, and then you're kind of like, oh, yeah, I actually really like this.
Yeah.
Like you find yourself looking forward to it after a
Yeah.
while.
Like imagine watching Honey, I Blew Up the Kids without watching Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You know, it's like Honey, I Blew Up the Kids is just a really weird, quirky movie.
But it would work, I think, if you hadn't known.
But like imagine how much more you enjoy it knowing the core characters in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Though I mean, that's kind of what happened with Ghostbusters. You have to just pile on information before you can really enjoy it to its full extent.
But you also have to keep a healthy distance between the movie and the cartoon series.
Oh yeah,
Because if you try and attach it too much to the movie, you're just going to disappoint yourself.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
yeah, it definitely has separations.
Now, Amy has another one on her list here that I fully support because it's actually like 30 cartoons in one. It's the Animaniacs.
Oh yes.
Yay!
Oh, that's like ADD dream right there. It's
You
like
get-
20 shorts.
You get, God, everything. You've got the Animaniacs, you've got Slappy the Squirrel, you've
Pinky
got
and the Brain.
Pinky and the Brain,
Something in Rita.
what was it, the Good Feathers?
The Good Feathers.
Oh, I love the Good Feathers.
It's got the little girl. What was her name? Mandy. You know
Mindy.
why? But why?
Mindy and Buttons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Buttons.
That one I didn't like so
Just
much.
so many of them.
And the
then, like,
mime.
Oh,
and
the
all their little games.
Wheel of
Game
Morality.
shows. Wheel of Morality.
I remember an entire episode that was they animated a Rube Goldberg device to drop a mannequin onto a whoopee cushion so that Wacko could laugh.
Yes.
And that,
That was the whole
episode.
episode. It was beautiful.
This is like ridiculous
Beautiful.
stuff like that was awesome. But they also, you know, again, it was a fun-utainment.
Yeah.
Is that what we went with?
Funjucational.
Funjucational, where you know they taught you you know, I know all 50 states in
capitals.
alphabetical order because they taught me a song and the capitals and the periodic table of elements.
I know random countries in the world because of that.
Yeah, like all of that stuff. Again, taught because of that. But you know, at this point in my list, you know, I kind of have to agree with Amy here.
Yeah.
I mean, so the last couple of things on my list could really go in any order. My final three is Animaniacs, Beetlejuice, and Tailspin.
Oh,
And I don't really care what order those are in because I hold it's literally a 3-way tie right there.
yeah.
Beetlejuice primarily because of the intro, because
Yeah.
it's the only time apart from The Simpsons where Danny Elfman has conducted the theme song to an animated show.
Yeah.
And the theme song is phenomenal.
Yeah,
if you've
it
not
is.
heard it, go YouTube it right now. I'll wait.
Pause the show.
Okay, now that you've listened to it, you have to agree. Amazing theme song, right?
Yeah, actually, do me a favor. Backtrack throughout this entire episode of our Saturday morning lineup and just listen to all the theme songs that we've talked about, and then come back to us because it's going to help you out a lot to understand things, what's going on.
We'll wait. Okay, and go. And then we already talked about Tailspin and why I like that.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice, I loved because it had almost nothing to do with the cartoon whatsoever. Beetlejuice was a good guy.
Was this whole different thing? Yeah, it was an entire different can of worms. It was like Ghostbusters. It was like this is the movie, this is the cartoon, not related.
It was like they took the two popular characters. You've got Winona Ryder's Lydia.
Yeah.
And then, Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice. And they went, let's make a cartoon where we design the characters after them. We name it after the movie, but it has nothing to do with the movie whatsoever.
You want to know what happened? I can tell you what happened. They were going to make a Drop Dead Fred cartoon and said, no one's going to watch that. Well, let's use the same thing, but replace it with Beetlejuice.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense, actually.
Right? Right?
It's a better theme song. And Amy, you've got DuckTales on your list. I think that actually rounds out your list. Is DuckTales.
Yeah.
Is that purely nostalgia for you, or is there particular reasons?
I actually like DuckTales. It's not only fun and silly for kids, but there's a lot of adult material and themes and lessons to learn in it as well. So it's really interesting how they do that with a cartoon.
I love the episode where it teaches kids why just printing money is bad.
Yes, the
Oh,
inflation
yeah.
one. Really good.
Teaching inflation by having them, they get the ray gun that allows them to duplicate coins, and then it ends up causing the coins to duplicate every time a bell rings, and it causes runaway inflation,
Yeah.
and then nobody wants to accept the money in exchange for goods
There's
anymore.
just piles
because
of
it's
money
all
in the
just
street, and people don't care anymore. So it
like
costs millions of dollars for one
Funducation.
loaf of bread.
Funducation. So what about you, Tony?
Okay, so since you wrapped up your third and Amy wrapped up hers, so here's the order of mine. So I've gone out of cartoons now into live action with some in betweeners.
Of course.
Now that we've gone from what would have been Transformers to now being Pro Stars, I follow that up with one of my favorite little scene TV series, Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. And what it is it's basically, I don't know if anybody here has ever seen Ultraman or anybody's ever seen your generic Power Ranger setup, but Ultraman is basically a single character tier person that grows large and fights giant monsters. Well, in this situation, Matthew Lawrence, joined with his two other buddies who are all in a band together, somehow find this power core that they strike, and it sends them into the cyber world where they fight a cyber villain. Tim Curry is apparently in this as a villain for some reason, and we don't know why.
I've been playing guitar for a while, and I have never come across a chord that sends me into the cyber world.
You just watch Superhuman Samurai Squad. I mean, I'll tell you, it's kind of like a boing.
Apparently, boing, sends you into the cyber world.
But yeah, so it turns them into this cyber Ultraman equivalent, and they fight, and then there's like power ups, and it's really cool. I'd follow that up afterwards with Big Bad Beetleborgs.
Okay.
Whoa.
So this is gonna take some explanation.
Yeah.
3 innocuous teenagers go into this haunted mansion, and they accidentally play 3 notes that releases Flabber, a ghost who grants them a wish. And Flabber, he's a Elvis clown ghost. It's a really weird thing. And grants them a wish, and that wish was that they wanted to be the Beetleborgs, which were these comic book characters, which were basically Power Rangers, but Beetleborgs.
Okay.
But Flabber grants them their wish, and in granting them their wish, they also grant the essence of what the comic was, which is heroes fighting villains. And so the villains come out, and these kids have to fight the villains, and mayhem ensues, and they get stronger, villains get stronger. Lots of fun. And then to roll out to the finish, and I actually had this on here because this is my top 10. So remember, Gigantor, Pup Named Scooby-Doo, Hysteria, Sherlock Holmes, King Arthur, Mighty Ducks, Pro Stars, Cyber Squad, Beetleborgs, and to wrap it all up, I said, it's time to be an adult now, Rick and Morty. And Rick and Morty is definitely one of those ones where it's gained a lot of popularity recently, but wasn't really a huge market that I'm aware of. And it's really interesting because it's kind of like, imagine like a Futurama where it's very, very straightforward and fast jokes, but there's a lot of really like hidden deep things going on, and that kind of just reels me back into like, okay, it's adult time. No more Saturday cartoon weekend left.
Now, I want to throw out some honorable mentions here, because honestly, picking out even 10 shows is very, very difficult.
Oh yeah.
Because there's so many other great shows. But some honorable mentions: Bobby's World, great show. Check it out. It's all on
Chippendales
YouTube.
Rescue Rangers.
Oh,
Chippendales, definitely, hands down, no questions asked. Chippendales Rescue Rangers. Let's see, VR Troopers.
oh man, no one ever talks about VR Troopers.
Power Rangers, but specifically up
not a
to
cartoon.
the White Ranger.
No,
Is there
but
a cartoon? That's not a
it's not a cartoon, but it's part of like the
It's like
weekend
Saturday
episode.
morning.
Oh,
It's
well,
a Saturday
that opens
morning
up a
thing.
whole other door, though. If you,
The Dragon Ball original series.
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
And
Do you ever mention Transformers? Did we say that?
I mentioned it, but I took it off my list to be replaced with Pro Stars.
Oh,
but,
okay.
But Transformers, Beast Wars.
I enjoyed Transformers.
and the G.I. Joe cartoon.
Oh yeah. Jackie Chan
knowing-
Adventures.
Knowing is half the battle and the other half is red and blue lasers.
Those are the parts that I actually enjoyed about G.I. Joe's. Was the little thing was it the beginning or the end?
That's the end.
The end.
The
Where they had-
PSA at the end.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. It's like Captain Planet.
Yeah.
Talk about propaganda in animated form.
That one cartoon special that had like the turtles and like Captain Planet and everybody like all together, and it was big giant just PSA on don't do drugs, kids. Like that
Yeah.
one episode.
Speaking of which, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
That was also a good cartoon.
Loved but not forgotten.
And,
Double Dragons.
oh, God, Double Dragons.
Any superhero movie, Fantastic Four. Not movie, but cartoon.
The
Fantastic
X-Men
Four,
cartoon.
X-Men
I really
cartoon.
enjoyed the X-Men cartoon.
I mean, like y'all have a special place, but like when I put my list together, I really had it thematically created.
Right.
We had to exclude a lot of things purely because
Saturday.
if we went with the norm on a lot of things, just the stuff that was really popular, it wouldn't be an interesting lineup.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So these were meant to be interesting lineups.
Mine wasn't.
Plus,
very
it's
interesting.
it's our TV network of theoretical design, not yours.
It's our 6 hour down here. Up there is your 6 hours.
Yes,
Yeah, I can have my Archer and my Family Guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I mean, I could throw in some other stuff. Like I could roll for you an actual Saturday morning, because there was like 3 or 4 cartoons, and then Facts of Life came on, and Family Matters, and reruns of Full House,
Yeah.
and all of that sort of stuff. But that's not what we're about here.
No.
So just to recap, my list was Pirates of Dark Waters, Conan the Adventurer, Thundercats, King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, Gargoyles, Darkwing Duck, The Real Ghostbusters, Animaniacs, Beetlejuice, and Tailspin. Amy's list was Looney Tunes, Batman the Animated Series, Archer, Family Guy, The Simpsons, Futurama, Tailspin, Animaniacs, and DuckTales. And Tony?
And my list was Gigantor, the Space Age Robot, Pup Named Scooby-Doo, Hysteria, Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd Century, King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, followed by Mighty Ducks, Pro Stars, Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, Big Bad Beetleborgs, and Rick and Morty.
So there you have it, folks. You've got some YouTubing to do. We'll wait.
No, just send him home with homework.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we urge you to go check them out. Maybe you'll like what you see, and we can try and get an online petition going to bring Pirates of Dark Waters back or something. 'Cause
Yeah.
And let us know what that character's name is in Tailspin, the engineer. Gadget? No.
Okay, you're thinking Gadget Hack Wrench. It's
that's from Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
it's gonna bother me now.
But yes. Let us
Either
know,
way.
please.
We want to thank Michael for asking us to guest host this episode of Back in Tunes. And, check out our other podcasts at AboveTheAirwaves.com. And, tell us what you think. Comment. Let us know what that character is named before we all go insane. And YouTube yourself some cartoons.
Time for the ending song. Oh-wee-oh, tailspin. Oh-wee-ay, tailspin. Tailspin.
Attention listeners, tonight's episode will be brought to you by the Retro Rocket Entertainment Podcast Network.
Back in Tunes!
Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the Above the Airwaves podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Cocaine, and with me, as always, is Tony Tran.
Me.
Joining us today for an episode of Back in Tunes, we have Damien Zeta Contreras.
Hi.
And my brother, Jesse Cocaine.
That sounded so weak for me. Hi, guys. Hi, my man.
Today, we're going to be filling in for Michael Cook, where we talk about our favorite Saturday morning cartoon lineups.
Well, our favorite Saturday morning lineups. They don't have to necessarily be cartoons.
Okay, yes, our favorite Saturday morning programming.
There we go.
Like if we took over a network forcefully.
Like 4 dudes in a band. We can call ourselves the Lone Rangers.
How do you pluralize the Lone Rangers? Anyway.
Hot sauce filled guns. Anyways, took over the network.
So we forcefully take over a network, and then we decide that we're going to use that newfound resource to play a Saturday morning lineup. What would we choose?
Everything. It's hard because, assuming that we're running the 8 to 11 or 6 to 11, that ranges us at, 10 to 8 cartoons and, maybe some of them are hour long or whatnot. So it's not easy, and there's a ton to choose from. This is our second time doing it for Michael, so we're glad to do it. And as always, we're going to let our guests start up. So, Damien, what would your first cartoon be in the morning?
Well, let's see.
So, bear in mind, they don't have to be in any particular order.
I'm just a stickler.
But, feel free to give us a designated order if you were to so fantasize yourself sitting down, eating Frosted Flakes and watching these.
So my list, this is my list. Not in any particular order.
Okay, just give it a list then.
Invader Zim, Angry Beavers, Rocko's Modern Life,
Good shit.
Doug, Rocket Power, Dragon Ball Z, or all of Dragon Ball, doesn't matter. Ren and Stimpy, Animaniacs, Dexter's Laboratory, and I'm kind of on the mend between Cow and Chicken and The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
They
So,
both kind of have a similar, kind of out
Feel,
there
yeah.
feel.
so tell us a little bit about your list and why you chose what you chose.
Yeah, maybe give us the whys on each show. What is it that made you pick those particular shows?
Burritos for Invader Zim, obviously. No, I just I like the characters, and I like the voice actor because he also plays the same character in Angry Beavers. Same voice actor from Invader Zim, and I don't know. I just grew up watching those, and I was just I've always been a big fan, and I have the whole series collection of Angry Beavers on DVD. So just to even find the Invader Zim one is in $90, and I got my Angry Beavers one for $10 on Black Friday.
Nice.
But Rocko's Modern Life, also a classic for me. I just also grew up on Nickelodeon watching that, and it's just he's not a kangaroo, you know.
He's a wallaby.
He's a
He's a
wallaby.
wallaby with an
I
awesome dog.
was disappointed when I learned that Rocco's Modern Life, the Australian accent that he has, is not at all remotely accurate.
Nope, I didn't care. I'm a kid.
All I knew about Australians was that Crocodile Dundee existed. Yahoo Serious was supposedly funny, and they had talking wallabies.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
Well, so on Rocco's Modern Life, my favorite, most memorable episode was the one where he bought the food processor. And
I
then,
vaguely remember that episode.
so he buys the food processor, and then he starts like making juice and stuff with it, and then it kind of just goes like rogue on him, and then he tries to get rid of it because he doesn't want it anymore, and then he somehow ends up in the desert because he wants to get rid of it, and then his car breaks down, and he's just trekking through the desert. He finally collapses because he's thirsty, and then he sees this building, thinks it's a mirage, and you see his food processor juice thing just walking up with arms and legs now, goes up to the cactus, and then just like makes the cactus juice with itself and gives it to Rocco. And it's just like, oh, I forgive you. Here's your water. You didn't have to like send me back. Whatever. It's just very memorable for me. I don't know why. It's just I've probably seen it multiple times.
Well, plus it teaches that age-old children's lesson of don't judge a food processor by its cover.
Yeah, and Doug, I just grew up with that one too. I mean, it's just cartoon version of this kid just going
Doug,
through
I fully
school.
support.
Yeah.
I'm behind you with Doug.
If you grew up in that generation, you didn't have a crush on Patty Mayonnaise. Something wrong
The
with
song, oh, Patty Mayonnaise, and then
Which, I know we were talking about him earlier, Billy West, and I just remembered, aside from Ren and Stimpy that's also on your list, he played the high school bully in
Roger.
Doug.
oh, Roger,
Roger,
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's Billy West.
Yes.
Otherwise known as Macklemore.
Yes.
And then in my early teen years,
Maybe that's why I don't like Macklemore.
probably my early teen years, Rocket Power, because I was all into the skateboarding, surfing, and I just did all that stuff, and it was just a fun cartoon to watch. And then my cousin had the video game. I'd play the video game too at his house. So I mean, just them just doing these obnoxious like adventures while playing like extreme sports, and then just giving each other nicknames, just go woogity 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 with their handshake. I'm just like, yes, I love it. And
I'll give you that one.
And Dragon Ball Z, just the whole thing. Yeah, that's all I have to
What's
say
your
about that.
favorite
It's just
saga?
Dragon Ball Z. Huh?
What's your
Favorite Dragon Ball saga?
Cell Saga.
A lot of people go straight towards Cell.
How about you, Steve?
I'm gonna go Majin Buu World Tournament.
Jesse?
I actually like the Saiyan saga, the very first one in Dragon Ball Z.
I would either say that, or I would say the Android saga.
I actually enjoy, and this is like a recurring theme for me, I enjoy the in-betweener day in the life episodes, like the just before and just after. So like the Great Saiyaman before Majin Buu starts, where like he's just doing like the street
I
stuff.
include the
and-
Great Saiyaman as part of the World Tournament Majin Buu saga. That's like one of the things that makes me love it so
Yeah,
much.
where it's just like him, just like, oh, I gotta do something, and
Okay.
like before like the tournament, they're punching the punching bag and just like knocking it out of the sky.
Well, answer me this, Mr. Tony.
Yes,
Who is your favorite Dragon Ball character? Gotta pick one.
gotta pick one. Future Trunks before the Super Saga, the most current Dragon Ball Super series. Super Trunks was the dopest dude.
Tien.
Ooh,
Tien? Okay.
Yeah.
Tien.
It's toss-up between a three-way tie, Tien, Chaozu, and Yamcha. Just because they were all completely underplayed, but they continued to stick it out and go through the world tournaments and stuff like that.
They homies, yeah.
What about you, Jesse?
I'm thinking with Tony on the Future Trunks thing.
What about you?
Krillin.
Oh, I love me some Krillin.
But Dragon Ball Z Krillin, the one
Bulk
before
Krillin
Frieza,
or
the one
black
just
hair?
before Frieza.
So nice Krillin, not Dick Krillin from Dragon Ball.
So
No.
Destructo Disc
No,
Krillin.
yes, Destructo's smartass Krillin.
Yeah, before he started realizing that it was kind of hard for him to catch up to everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he was a
Before,
smartass, but he kept working hard.
Yeah.
It was before he got humbled by getting killed a half dozen times. You know. Apparently spending that much time in the afterlife is gonna humble a guy.
And then Ren and Stimpy, it was funny, it was cartoon, a bunch of random stuff was always going on, but it was more of an adult cartoon, and as a kid you don't get it. It's just all cartoons, it's funny, flashy stuff. But a lot of the stuff I remember thoroughly is a lot of the artwork that went into it when it went into the close-up shots. They were extremely detailed or like extremely detailedly disgusting.
Plus, you got wonderful songs like "Wood rolls downstairs and over chairs and over the neighbor's dog.
Log.
It's on your back. It's great
Happy,
for a
happy,
snack.
joy, joy.
It's log, log, log."
It's log.
What about, was it Powdered Toast Man?
Powdered Toast Man?
Vitamin F.
Grab onto my buttocks.
And then Animaniacs, because it's Animaniacs. I mean, come on. Steven Spielberg actually did something pretty cool for the kids and came up with this cool like show and paid a lot of money to make sure it get done. And I'm talking about all the Maniacs, not just,
Yakko Wacko and Dot.
Yakko Wacko and Dot. And so that includes Pinky and the Brain and the baby girl and the dog and the auntie squirrel. I forgot her name.
Slappy the Squirrel.
Slappy the Squirrel.
Funny story, Pinky and the Brain, the storyboard artist for that, Keith Tucker, he lives here in Oregon. He actually used to shop at my comic shop in Milwaukee. Nicest dude. No
Nice.
joke.
Wow. And Pinky
pretty
in the
cool.
Brain. I mean, can't really beat some of the witty humor in that.
Oh yeah. No, I mean for me, like I said, all like Freakazoid is included in that.
And one of my
Well,
favorite...
Freakazoid wasn't technically part of Animaniacs. It aired back to back with the Animaniacs,
But it was
because
still the
also
same
a Steven
cartoon
Spielberg.
style.
I mean, Freakazoid is on my list also, so I did break it out into its own show.
Yeah, you
one
did,
of my
but not
favorite
me. That's
Pinky
just
and
all
the Brain episodes was actually they're making fun of this recording of Orson Welles doing a commercial for frozen peas. And aside from when he actually swears, it's almost a word for word copy of the actual recording. Like Orson Welles was drunk off his ass, goes in to record a commercial for frozen peas, and just berates the voice director and tries to correct the grammar and stuff on the script. And then they took that audio recording of this like breakdown that Orson Welles had while filming a commercial for peas and made a Pinky and the Brain episode of it, because the guy who voiced Brain, of course, is doing an Orson Welles impersonation for Brain's voice. But aside from like the swearing that they of course had to change because it's a cartoon, it's almost exactly word for word. If you actually like Google search the Orson Welles pea commercial.
That is funny.
Wait, I think I found
Yeah.
part of it here. Let me see if I can. It's obscure outtakes. I'm only gonna play part of this here, but let me see if I can get it.
And it's those types of things that are like, as a little kid, yeah, it was funny, but I didn't get it until I was older and actually learned about the Orson Welles thing.
What?
Could I have just one more take of that?
Why? I just did it right.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not used to having more than one person in there. One more word out of you and you go. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
I take directions from one person under protest. But from two, I don't sit still. But who the hell are you, anyway?
No,
Well, why the hell are you asking me for another one?
Well, I thought there was a slight bonk, and I would just like to be safe.
Jesus. What is a gonk? Do you mind telling me what that is?
Not a bang from outside.
A bang from outside. Can I see Mrs. Rogers for a minute, please?
Yes, certainly.
I'm gonna skip ahead and see if I can find him.
We know a remote farm in Lincolnshire where Mrs. Buckley lives. Every July, peas grow there. Do you really mean that?
Yeah, so in other words, I'd start half a second late.
Don't you think you really want to say July over the snow? Isn't that the fun of it?
If you can make it almost when that shot disappears, it'll make my...
I think it's so nice that you see a snow-covered field and say every July peas grow there. We know a remote farm in Lincolnshire where Mrs. Buckley lives. Every July, peas grow there. We aren't even in the fields, you see. We're talking about them growing and she's picked them.
Yeah.
What?
It's totally off topic.
I don't understand you then. What must be over for July?
When we get out of that snowy field.
Well, I was out. We were onto a can of peas, a big dish of peas when I said in July.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, always.
Always.
I'm always past that. Yes. Well, that's about where I say in July.
You emphasize a bit in.
The Pinky and the Brain version of it.
Half a second later.
Don't you think you really want to say July over the snow? Isn't that the fun of it? I think it's so nice that you see a snow-covered field and say every July peas grow there. We're talking about them growing and she's picked them.
Well, we want to be out of that snowy field.
But I was out. We were onto a can of peas, a big dish of peas when I said in July.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, always. I'm always past that.
You are?
Yes.
Can you emphasize a bit in July?
Why? That doesn't make any sense. Sorry. There's no known way of saying an English sentence in which you begin a sentence with in and emphasize it. Get me a jury and show me how you can say in July and I'll make cheese for you. It's idiotic, if you'll forgive my saying so. That's just stupid. In July. Impossible. Meaningless.
God, I love Pinky and the Brain, man.
You aren't thinking.
Brain, it was my fault. I said in July. If you could leave every July.
You didn't say it. He said it. You're a friend. Too much directing around here.
All right, why don't we move on? Animaniacs 406-859, take 2.
Oh my god.
All right.
Okay, we're going to run the pic.
Stopping it there.
Just smart writing.
So, yeah. Anyway, this next one is a toss-up. I can't choose, and I'd have to do a flip coin to figure out which one it would be. It would be Cow and Chicken or The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
See, that's tough for me.
Right? It's very tough. I mean, I like both of them.
They're pretty similar, like, kind of feel, too, like, with the random obscurities and, you know, the slightly darker tone on everything, you know. I don't know. That's tough. Yeah, maybe you'll just have to come back for another episode and make a second list.
Right? I'd have to do but this next one is Dexter's Laboratory. 'Cause who hasn't watched or liked or grown up with Dexter? Damn it, Diddy!
I love that episode where he falls asleep to the hypnosis tape, but it skips, and he's trying to learn French, and the only thing that he learns is the phrase omelette du fromage, which is cheese omelet. So then he spends the rest of the episode answering every question as omelette du fromage. Oh,
I think
perfect.
And then he blows up his own lab because he can't speak normal English anymore.
I think my favorite episode is when you finally get to see the lifestyle of his arch nemesis, the other, scientist character, and like throughout the entirety of his day, everything is in the same rhythmic pattern. Like his alarm clock is like beep beep beep, 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 beep. He's brushing his teeth. Brush, brush, brush. Brush, 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 brush. And then he's talking to Dexter. Ha, 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 ha. I'm like, well, that explains something.
Oh, man. Well, what about you, Jesse? What's your list in the whys?
All right, so my list, I kind of broke it down. Half were cartoons that when they were new episodes, I absolutely loved getting up early to watch them. Had to see every new episode when it came out, and if I missed one, I was like totally bummed out. So even though there's not actually that many of them, the Uncanny X-Men cartoon from the 90s, I think they only made like 3 seasons or something like that.
Yeah, they did up to, was it Dark Phoenix?
Yeah, Days of Future Past, Saga, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the fact that they basically used the existing comic books as the storyboard for the animation, because
aside from adding in Morph,
yeah, there were a few additions, but there were ones like I actually had the comic book for Tooth and Claw, the episode where he fights Sabretooth up in Alaska, and it's almost exactly the same.
Plus one of the best intro theme songs.
Hands down.
Oh,
Hands
yeah.
down.
You hear that, you just get pumped.
Mm-hmm. For a non-lyrical intro. I mean, like, as a kid, like, you're used to having lyrics in your songs, and all of a sudden they start busting out this X-Men theme song. You don't need a damn word in it, because it's just rocking you out the entire time. Hit it for me, Steve.
I gotta find it real quick here, but we're gonna do this.
I have something I need you to translate for me.
Damn it.
Wrong video.
Come on.
It's trying to pull up.
I will do this a cappella if I have to. Bum, 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 bum.
That, it was the BGM version of it in the X-Men
Now, if I were to go to like a world famous concert hall and this is not one of the songs that they played, I would just not be as happy as I possibly could have been.
I think that's like the first most recognizable theme song of an animated series from my childhood, followed very closely by Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice animated theme song. But continue on.
So, second on my list, I had to put Thundercats. Just because I used to watch the show all the time when it was new, and then again when it came out when they played it on Toonami, and just brought back all those memories.
Thundercats.
Oh, Snarf.
Yeah,
Snarf.
and
Snarf. Fuck you, Snarf. Shut up.
And plus, it's great to hear the voice actor who plays Lion-O now does so many cameos and other things, and like he'll voice himself in like the sight gags that are in like Family Guy episodes. So it's actually the same voice actor poking fun at a previous character he did.
And
third on my list, I had to put the G.I. Joe cartoon. That was another one that, along with, that one and Transformers both were on around the same time. But I like the G.I. Joe one better because, I mean, you go back and you watch Transformers, and some of the episodes just were off the wall, batshit crazy.
Oh, I tried, and it was pulling teeth.
Yeah, but G.I. Joe, like, I forget what channel it is, but somewhere way up there in the high, like, 800s, there's a channel that plays nothing but retro cartoons late at night, and it will play stuff like G.I. Joes and Transformers, so I'll occasionally watch a random episode.
800 channels, huh?
Yeah, and...
I'm going to have to find that.
And the G.I. Joe ones, aside from the cheesy morals that they try to instill in you, like, yeah, it's a violent cartoon show, even though they never actually showed people dying, really. It's like they blow up an airplane and everyone happens to have a parachute and bail out, and no one ever shoots the guys, like, coming down on it parachutes. But it did have, they kind of horseshoed those moral lessons in. But, of course, now you can't say... and now I know, without people wanting to say, and knowing is half the battle. That's like deeply ingrained in my psyche. It's like a almost Pavlovian response.
Or me immediately trying to chime in with, the other half is red and blue lasers.
Pew,
because
pew, pew.
I have to do it every time. It's like OCD. Red and blue lasers.
So...
pew, pew, pew.
So, fourth on my list, I had to put the real Ghostbusters, which I believe you brought up on your list before, or mentioned
it. The
real
Ghostbusters, or the new real Ghostbusters, or the real new Ghostbusters, or...
Yeah, I forget which one it is, but the one that was based on the movies...
where Slimer was their friend, right?
Yes. Yeah, it was like the Scooby-Doo of the Ghostbusters at that point, yeah.
The real Ghostbusters.
I used to watch that one all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that was another one that they just kind of ended it without any, like, finishing the storyline. It stopped.
Well, the second movie came out, and then they did a couple more episodes that had some of the second movie parts into it, where they had, like, the slime guns and whatnot. And then after that, like, they just kind of stopped it after maybe a season or two after the second movie.
Yeah, I think it was more of just so they could have a way of making weird toys that didn't actually exist in the movie.
Yeah.
And tie them into something else Ghostbuster related. So it was more of a marketing ploy after a while.
It worked. Cartoon was great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so for my last four on the list, I went with they're all from Disney Studio cartoons, because Disney used to have, before they had like a Disney Channel that was on cable where they put all the Disney stuff now, or I forget what it's called now, the Disney XD channel, that's just all the action stuff they have, because they own Marvel now, so all like the Avengers, X-Men, Spider-Man, all of that's on that channel now. But they used to have that block of like 2 hours of after-school cartoons where they had like the DuckTales and stuff like that. So
DuckTales.
You had to put on, of course, DuckTales, because that one kind of kicked it off.
Tailspin?
I was never really a big fan of Tailspin. I thought that was...
What's the matter with you?
You would have been shunned out of our last episode. We would have like kicked you out of the house.
My problem with
we
that
all sang the theme, so we took a break to sing the theme song.
See, I watched it, but more of just because it was on in the same time slot.
So
if it was, if I had
who fought
another,
for the remote the most, you or Jesse?
Well, see, that's the thing is when these were on, I think me and Steven had our own room we had an old black and white TV that we had brought up in the room that we used to watch the cartoons on.
These are things that we could agree on. You know, these cartoons we could agree on.
And it was I did watch Tailspin, but mostly because it was either that or like Judge Judy or Divorce Court. There was nothing else on at that time slot. So, but I did like also Rescue Rangers. Mm-hmm. That was another good one from there.
There's so many; it's hard to choose all of them.
And again, that's one of the cartoons that has Trace McNeil in it. Which, if you don't know her, she played Gadget in Rescue Rangers, which also was like Dot in the Animaniacs. Most recently, I think she probably recognize her as Mom from Mom Corp in Futurama. But she does a ton of voices. She was in the Animaniacs. She was also things like Mindy's mom. That was always like, you know, whenever they drew an adult, it's like you see him from the knees down, and that's it. Almost any random female voice in it. Yeah.
Nurse.
What about the nanny from Muppet Babies?
I'm not sure about that one.
Well, what good are you then?
Hey, I'm not a walking IMDb, so give me some slack
Well,
here.
why not?
All right, next cartoon.
The last one that I had on the list was the Gargoyles cartoon.
Always a solid.
Which, one of the other things, speaking of voice actors, I like about that is almost everyone who was in the main cast of Star Trek The Next Generation played voices in the Gargoyles cartoon.
Mm-hmm. I like the fact that the guy that played Worf is in a bunch of cartoons. I mean,
Michael Dorn.
Yeah, Michael Dorn.
I Am Weasel.
Yeah.
Does anybody remember the Godzilla animated series?
Oh yeah, with Godzuki and like the little button that column. Yeah,
I try not to remember it personally.
Godzilla and Godzuki.
Yeah, that one should go on. Like, if we made a list of if you were going to be strapped down and watch cartoons, like
if you were to Clockwork Orange somebody, what cartoons did you run?
If you were trying to brainwash someone with horrible cartoons, forcing their eyeballs open, like making them watch it, which ones would you pick?
We'll do that next time.
Which is a perfect segue into Tony. What list do you?
Oh man, yes, it actually is a perfect segue because I like to
be prepared, people. You will not know what he's talking about.
It's going to be
okay. So
some of this stuff may be too obscure for YouTube.
Well, you can find all this on YouTube. Anyways, so you all know from our last episode, if you listened,
break.com.
You all know that I have a pattern and a reason behind everything that I do. So it's now 6 a.m. I'm waking up. I'm partially awake, not really knowing what's going on, and I want to start my day with something smooth and simple.
And he's Asian.
Break it down for us, Tony.
And so I open up the day with the new adventures of Gigantor, which starts up just like how Steve's going. Boom, 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 boom. Gigantor, just ease my day. It's the colorized version, so a lot of you guys that didn't like the black and white version from the last time, you can kind of get into the colorized version. After Gigantor, I'm starting to really, get my brain juices flowing. I'm getting ready to make breakfast, and I want something, to get me, rocking and getting me excited for my day. So I start playing James Bond Jr. That's right.
James Bond Jr.
Him and his buddies and his Hawaiian surfer dude, his buddy IQ, all driving around in their van solving crimes.
God,
super
it's been
racist.
So long since I've seen that.
James Bond Jr.
I vaguely remember they did a lot of things with a wrist video watch.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I think I'm going to have me some SWAT cats.
SWAT cats, I can totally support.
My bowl of cereal's down, and I'm rocking me out some SWAT cats. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm pumped. The cats are on jet planes, motorcycles, and launching custom missiles. Followed by SWAT cats. I'm in an action mood this day, so I'm going to follow SWAT cats with some more kitty action. Give me some Wildcats. Jim Lee. No actual cats involved. Covert action teams. That's right. Also, great theme song. And as you know, I'm a huge fan of theme songs, so a lot of these are going to have great theme songs. Following Wildcats, I want to ease it down a little bit, knock it down a notch and get real. How real? Real Ghostbusters real. But not just the real Ghostbusters, the new real Ghostbusters. That's right, the punkified version with one kid in a wheelchair, one goth girl, and one random nerd person. And Egon Spengler is their teacher.
Style as Real Monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So that was some I love the intro to that cartoon. I like the storyline. Like the character had some deep depth. I mean, hell, the girl who was all goth like was being haunted by her ghost grandmother.
Yeah,
that was jacked up first episode. After the real Ghostbusters, I want to stay real. I want to stay real, folks. And so I move on to the Real Adventures of Johnny Quest. That's right, the new Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, which hands down has one of my favorite villains with one of my favorite lines, one of my favorite backstories in any cartoon I've ever seen, and that's Ezekiel Rage. I've always been a fan of Ezekiel Rage. He was first introduced as a villain who is kind of represented as a false prophet type character. He has a cult following where they all follow the Book of Rage, and all of his things are all like, so says the Book of Rage. Well, like 20 episodes later, you find out that the Book of Rage was actually a photo album, and what happened was he was a spy. They got burned out in the middle of wherever he was at, and he had brought his family with him. And during the burning process, they he was trying to escape the area. Well, his family got caught up in the mess. They all got killed. He escaped, and now he's pretty much angry at everybody. Hence the Book of Rage.
Huh.
Random fact.
The Book of Rage.
Also, Race Bannon's daughter is hot. Jessie Bannon. Come on, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Don't
I
act like you don't
remember
know.
having a crush on Jessie Bannon.
Dude, you know, I mean, that redhead.
Weird to have a crush on someone with the same name, though. It's actually why I started going by Jay instead of Jesse, is because I had a girlfriend in high school who was named Jessica, and her family all called her Jessie. So she started calling me Jay because it was weird for her to call me Jesse.
I can see that.
Yeah, that'd be a little weird. Oh, yeah, Jesse. Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Sounds like
wait,
you're like
what?
some sort of narcissist masturbating.
All right, so continue on my Saturday morning lineup.
Yeah.
I'm following up the Real Adventures of Johnny Quest with
morning right there.
with Jackie Chan Adventures because
Yes.
I want me some action and some martial arts and some mysticism, and I love me some Jackie Chan.
Plus, Jackie Chan does all of the voices for Jackie Chan, which is awesome.
It's right. Seriously,
I just
thought it was
love
only
the
for
fact that
first
it's
season,
like,
though.
Jackie, we need to get to the temple and do the thing. And then Jackie Chan comes in and you can't understand a single fucking word he says. But he's like, oh, we're going to do the temple and we go, it's me, Jackie. You're like, what?
Jackie!
I thought he only did the voice acting for the first season.
Yeah, after that, he just
after
did
that,
the letters
yeah.
to the letters from the viewers thing at the end of each episode.
All of the intros. It's because during the whole first season, nobody could fucking understand him.
And then you just get like a horribly racist white guy doing a Chinese guy impersonation for the rest of the series.
Yes.
Jade, where'd you go?
Okay, so we're wrapping up. My breakfast is done. I'm getting ready to start the day. It's like 10 o'clock at this point, and I have to actually, get out of my...
Tony?
What?
Be honest with yourself. You're never ready to start your day.
No, which is why my next show is The Mystical Knights of Tir na Nog. What is that, you ask? Oh, let me tell you about The Mystical Knights of Tir na Nog.
Oh, here we go.
So, if you don't have any history with Fae and Fae knowledge, Tir na Nog is an Irish, basically, existence or plane that some of the Irish Celts and god and goddesses go. So, 3 random teenagers, let's say they have attitude, 3 teenagers with attitude, accidentally get transported into the mystical realm of Tir na Nog, where they are given mystical powers, or suits, if you will, to fight the forces of evil. That's right, Power Rangers in time.
Wait, I think I found the intro here. Let me see if this will play.
Oh my
just
god,
this-
no, I remember that.
This Celtic music the whole time.
God, this is so cheesy, dude.
You guys ever seen that 90s intro remake for Game of Thrones? I'm pretty sure they based it on the Mystical
You
Knights
guys
of
told me this
Tir na Nog
was
intro.
Saturday morning cartoons. I didn't know I could. I would have chosen like Beetleborgs.
Oh,
also,
Beetleborgs
dude.
is my last episode. Yeah, I chose Beetleborgs.
This is another one of those ones that was made by Saban.
Yeah.
That was just like, we need more money. Let's do another program.
So after the Mystical Knights of Tir na Nog, I wanna get real. I wanna get serious. I wanna get within myself and sensitive. So I'm gonna rock me some Sailor Moon.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's 2 types of men out there: the kind that grew up watching Sailor Moon, and liars.
Preach, Damien. Preach. If you ain't got respect for Tuxedo Mask and the Moonlight Knight, y'all get out of my house. I ain't got time for you. I ain't got time for you. So
You can't go, oh yeah, I watched it. I had sisters. No, that's bullshit. You watched it because you liked it.
you woke up at 6 in the morning like I did to watch this. And if you woke up earlier than 6 o'clock, then you watched Pup Named Scooby-Doo, which played before this.
Yeah.
No, I remember they put Sailor Moon on Toonami in after-school cartoons, and that's when I used to watch it.
Yeah, Sailor Moon was on right before Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, see, I watched it back in the day.
See, that's how they sucked you in.
In the mid-'90s when Dick was rolling it out. Or Deke, whatever they
Deke.
call it.
They're dicks because they got rid of a lot of good ass shows.
And then finally, after Sailor Moon, I need to redeem a bit of my manhood, and so I end the day with my mature episode of Clerks, the animated series.
Leonardo.
Welcome to Leonardo.
I'm sad that they only made like 6 episodes of that, 8 episodes or whatever.
It was so good. If you guys haven't seen Clerks, get out there, buy the DVD. It's cheap. It's worth it. It's Kevin Smith. The guy's a genius.
Both of them.
And then send email to Kevin Smith repeatedly telling him that we need more seasons.
I imagine he'd make them if he could.
I'm surprised they made a cartoon series out of that, because both movies are outrageously inappropriate.
So was the cartoon.
The cartoon series actually ended up getting made, I read, pretty much because of Brian O'Halloran and, what's his name, Jeff...
Dante and Randall.
Yeah. It was made specifically for them because I guess Kevin Smith had talked about originally doing like a Mallrats cartoon or something, and he was talking to Brian O'Halloran about it, and he said that, you should do Clerks instead, and Kevin Smith was like, how am I going to do a cartoon of Clerks? It's the most serious movie we have out of the whole group. I mean, hell, Dante was supposed to die at the end of it. How do I do this? Mallrats is a couple of kids hanging out in the mall. I can do a ton of stuff with that. But what about, what's with Clerks?
Wait, he was supposed to die at the end?
Yeah,
Dante was supposed to die.
How?
Somebody comes in and robs him and shoots him.
Yeah, the original ending they filmed.
And as he's dying, he's supposed to say, I'm not even supposed to be here today. And then he dies.
Oh, wait, the first movie?
Yes, the black and white one.
Because it goes off of that whole line. He's going off about how he likes Jedi versus Empire. It's like, it ends on a down note, and that's what life is, a series of down endings.
And then he dies at the end.
But apparently not.
Then Brian O'Halloran was talking to him, and he's like, dude, you could do Clerks about literally anything you wanted to. Just call it Clerks so that it's recognizable. Have us come in and voice everything, and then have it be literally whatever you want to. So he talked to Walt Flanagan, who is a comic book artist, has done stuff like Green Arrow and other things that Kevin Smith has worked on, and said, hey, would you be interested in animating this show? Bada bing, bada boom. Leonardo.
Seriously, guys, if you haven't seen Clerks, the animated series, and you're mature adults because it's not for kids, watch it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
All right, so now onto my list. Mine is in no specific order, no particular order here, but includes a lot of shows that I wasn't able to include on the last episode that I really felt like needed an honorable mention. So I threw them all together into this list here. So I'm going to start it off with Reboot. And, that's just super cool, is the mix of CG and animation, that sort of stuff. Just, it ended up being really highly entertaining. And it was just techie enough that, me being the computer nerd that I was slightly entertained by it, going like, oh, what if there are little things that are living in my computer? And, so
that you're killing every time you play video games? How does that make you feel, Steve?
I feel all right.
We'll just have to leave it at St. Peter to judge that part.
Yes. From there, I'm going to move on to Samurai Pizza Cats, because it was an American dub of an anime that has zero goddamn point to it. It's the most random thing that you could possibly find. Every episode is different and worse and better and frightening and hilarious and all of it all at the same time. It's like if you took the people that do Hello Kitty and gave them acid and told them to animate something. That's Samurai Pizza Cats.
And threw in some Centurion in there for some reason, because the Centurions is like, all right, yeah, guys in suits.
Wasn't it also done by Saban?
I think it might have been.
The American voiceover was done by Saban. The original series was not. And then I'm going to move on to Johnny Bravo, because I think it taught us a very, very important lesson in life, which is don't skip leg day. Plus you had all the Gennady Tartakovsky style animations that you saw in Samurai Jack, Dexter's Lab, stuff like that. Powerpuff Girls, it all kind of came out with Johnny Bravo as well. But Johnny Bravo was it's kind of again like a Bill and Ted type thing, except he acts dumb a lot, but then he would do intelligent things, and that caused the stories to play out in kind of unexpected ways, which were really fun.
So for all of you back-end tuners that don't listen to Above the Airwaves normally, we had a Bill and Ted Adventures episode, and we talked a lot about the fact that these two guys were surprisingly smart, just lazy, really lazy.
Excellent.
So you should go back and listen to that.
And I love the Johnny Bravo Scooby-Doo crossover episode.
Oh. I also like the fact that Johnny Bravo, every time he moves, he makes a noise. So if he moves his arm, it's like hoo-ah, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. I just imagine there's a guy in a recording booth that's doing all the Johnny Bravo noises, and it's just like, okay, can we get another series of who's who 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 who? All right, now ha's ha 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 ha. All right, now together, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Just hours on end.
In
of that.
different orders. Ha, hoo, hoo, hee-hoo-ha.
From there, I'm gonna go into what I was talking about with Damien earlier with Freakazoid. Steven Spielberg. It's just super well animated. I thought the storyline behind it was kind of decent. Introduction of different Freakazoid villains it was always weird and hilarious, and they were amazing. Go check out Freakazoid. You can find pretty much all of it on
Speaking
YouTube.
of voice actors, it's another one that I love the voice actor for is Cosgrove.
Oh, yes.
If you don't know who he is, the guy from Up.
Oh, the old man from Up, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
He is the guy who plays Cosgrove in that series. And he seemingly will do any sort of voice acting work he's asked to do. I think he also played that one really weird character called Granny Goodums on the Superman TV cartoon show.
Is that the Superman cartoon show that had Mitchell Spitlick in it?
Yeah, that was voiced by Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, God, Gilbert Gottfried.
From there, I am going into quite possibly one of the greatest cartoons that has ever existed, and this probably should have been on my prior list. The Tick.
Oh, The Tick.
Earthworm Jim.
Sweet, happy, muddy, cruddy justice, Arthur.
There will be no just the pieces for you. Just a big piece of justice.
That sort of stuff is just amazing. I don't think I really need to explain why else that is amazing. No. Just go watch The Tick. You can find it. There's 35 episodes of it. You can find them all online. They're literally all on YouTube. Watch them all. They're amazing.
I am the Mad Bob.
And then watch the Tick live action series. And if you really feel like punishing yourself after that, you can watch the Amazon pilot for The Tick. But from there,
Jean-Claude Van Johnson, you'll enjoy that more.
I'm going to go into a little Batman Beyond.
Oh, yes.
I am pissed that they just stopped Batman Beyond mid-series because I liked the old Bruce Wayne story because that ends up leading into the Batman vs Superman stuff, like the actual comic book Batman vs Superman, not the movie, where old Bruce Wayne ends up building the mechanical suit with the kryptonite to be able to kill Superman, and actually does damn near kill Superman, proving that it doesn't matter how feeble he is, he's still better than Superman, and he will kill him if he has to. I think that's the one where he throws Superman into space with a nuclear bomb, and when Superman falls back down to Earth, the radiation has literally, makes him look like he's a withered corpse, and then Batman, depending on which comic you read, Batman either nurses him back to health to make sure that he's at optimal health before he kicks his ass, or Batman captures him and holds him in a kryptonite cage until he decides to let him out and then kick his ass. So either way, just shows how awesome Batman is. But that's the Batman Beyond Batman. I imagine that if it would have kept going, they would have eventually had to progress into some of those storylines.
I do remember one of my favorite lines from the Batman Beyond was this one where the villain was some sort of like sound engineer guy, and he was trying to make Bruce Wayne think he was insane by using like hidden microphones and speakers to think he was hearing voices. And Bruce Wayne says, the voices kept calling me Bruce, and in my head, that's not what I call myself.
Shway.
In my head, I'm Batman.
I think Terry just looks at him and says, but that's my name now.
After that, I'm going to go into Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and the only really disappointing thing I have about that is 4 seasons. You know, they could have stretched that out. They probably could have done it to 8.
No, the only disappointing thing about that is the movie.
What movie?
Yeah, let's leave it
like
at
the
that.
live-action Dragon Ball movie.
Although, the interesting thing about the movie is that all of the people that voiced the characters, with the exception of, what's his name, the guy that played Rufio in Hook. Voices the firebender.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I can't think of it right
Zuko.
now.
Yeah, with the exception of him, all of the other characters were all Nickelodeon children voice actors anyway, so they actually played their roles in the movie, so that's why the voices are the same, despite live action.
I think one person could have saved that entire movie, and it would have been completely out of order.
The guy that shot M. Night Shyamalan before he made it?
No. Toph. Toph would have saved that movie.
Yeah, Toph could have saved that movie.
He got shot?
No, I said the one guy that could have saved the movie would have been the guy that shot M. Night Shyamalan before he made it.
No, Toph, even though out of order, would have saved that movie, because Toph just... Damn it, Toph's awesome.
Yeah, I wish they would go back and make more of the original Avatar instead of like the skip ahead into Avatar Korra.
I wish they would have correctly used the names.
Yeah. That is, I don't know, there's a lot of mistakes that I think they made that they could have hashed out if it ran longer. You know. Speaking of shows that could have ran longer, my next show is Monster Rancher.
Yeah.
This is a super unfortunate one where we ended up getting one season that aired on US TV, and then when they re-released it on DVD, they only released 8 episodes of that season. It's 23 episode season, so we got 23 episodes out of the 73 or 79 that they originally released or licensed. So we literally, like, they left off the last episode of the first season, never got released, so we never got our finale. At least that would have kind of wrapped it up a little bit, and then we ended up getting screwed because, you know, no multiple seasons after that. So,
but don't worry, they released the first CD.
Yeah,
8 episodes at select Walmarts.
The only down, you know, the only real redeeming factor is that we got the Monster Rancher games.
Yes,
and you know those are absolutely amazing games.
Yeah.
From there, another show that was canceled that should not have been canceled, The Fairly Odd Parents.
Oh man, that was some gold,
right? Like. It's another one of those, like, tries to teach you a moral, but does it in the most fucked up way possible.
Yeah.
You know, it's just absolutely amazing show, and I recommend people go out, watch it. Which, you know, teaching fabulous morals brings me to the last entry on my list, just King of the Hill.
You know, for a show that's felt so super redneck, it was super educational sometimes. It was
I love
morally
relatable.
I love the fact that everything in it was realistic. Like, even though it was a cartoon, it was a cartoon medium, they could have done damn near anything, but they kept it all realistic because they, like, Mike Judge said that he wanted it to play out like you were watching a sitcom, but animated. You know,
to the point to where there was like infidelity with Dale's wife. I was like, as a kid, like you don't get that, but growing up, you know, you're like, holy crap.
Yeah. Plus, you know that intro that, you know, every single time. It's amazing. And then, you know, just some of the stuff that's in it, like the episode where they're going camping, right? And it's like they're just getting up, and Bobby runs out, and he's completely naked with his shirt, or you know, bottomless with his shirt pulled down. And he runs over to the laundry hamper right as it's getting set down, and he grabs the underwear and he sniffs them, and he goes, fresh underwear. Puts them on really quick, and then Hank Hill looks down at him and goes, "Bah! 6 a.m. and already the boy ain't right." And then later in that episode, they're doing this, like, you know, Boy Scout style sleepover out in the woods thing. They're supposed to be going out and doing some, like, you know, hunt some mythical creature that's supposed to just be like, oh, it doesn't actually exist, and you know, it's just team bonding experience or whatever. But some whooping crane had gotten out from the zoo, like exotic whooping crane, and they end up finding it in the woods, and Bobby beats it to death with a stick. And then Boomhauer is trying to tell Hank about it later when they're staring at a dead whooping crane, and he's like, "Boomhauer, what happened?" Boomhauer looks at him and he's like, "Man, Bobby done went into the bush with a stick and then whack, 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 and not dead, man." And Hank just goes, "All right, get my shovel." And that's it. Like, that's just how they deal with it.
I love some of the things that you don't pick up on unless you watch, like, all of the episodes or just the certain clips. Like Boomhauer, for example, it never says what his job is, except for one time it shows him set down his wallet and it folds open, and there's a Texas Rangers badge in there.
Well,
so
there
Boomhauer
was the one episode,
is a Texas Ranger.
There was the one episode where he was the exterminator. He had the extermination van, and he went with
Dale, because Dale's an exterminator.
Yeah, but they literally both pull up in the vans next to each other. It's Boomhauer and Dale, and then they go out, and it's God, I can't remember the chick. Shit, it's been so long since I've seen it. But they both pull up. They end up like exterminating something in her house and finding somebody handcuffed in the basement or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. Hank's dad's there, and the vet. Anyway. And then the super racist neighbor next door.
Oh, Con.
Oh, you Hank Hill.
So are you Chinese or Japanese?
I'm Laotian. What ocean?
No, it means I'm from Laos, you stupid idiot. Tell me how it feels to wake up in the morning like a big stupid dummy.
Oh God, I love that show, man. My dad and I just watch that all the time.
This is just proving the point, kids, that it's not racist if it's really funny. It's racist if it's funny, but once it becomes really funny, not racist. So, I think that wraps up all of our lists, though.
Yes, we like to sell propane and propane accessories.
I'd like to thank Jesse and Damien for joining us today with Back in Tunes and helping Michael out. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so if you have any suggestions on cartoons we may have missed, or other Saturday morning programming we may have missed,
or want to discuss all the theme songs of my great cartoons that you want to talk about,
or if you have a plan on how to actually take over a television network,
you
can hit us up online.
Build Super Soakers.
Yeah.
Leave us questions, comments, feedback, and until then...
Hey everybody, welcome to Back in Tunes, the perfect Saturday morning edition. This week we have Avery with us, who, if you've listened to the show before, he's done a couple episodes of this, but he's also on my other show, Comics on Infinite Earths. Welcome back, Avery.
Hey guys, how are we doing today?
All right, so if you have not listened to this little spin-off of Back in Tunes, basically, if you were in control of your own television, program whatever you want, any type of animation, you can even do some live action, as long as it's kind of like in that Saturday morning realm. And it also includes primetime animation. What would you schedule? Are you an early riser, or just sleep in, so you're only getting like maybe 4 hours at best of TV, then you're going outside? Or were you like one of those, like, oh, the sun's up, I'm getting up, I'm watching every single scrap bit of Saturday morning before my parents kick me out of the house? Each person's wildly different, and we were discussing this right before we went live. I was a guy that slept in on Saturdays. Were you an early riser?
For Saturdays was a weird one because, like, the lineup, like, the majority of the time that we were, like, when I was a kid, I would watch Kids WB, and that one started at 9 in the morning. Yeah, that one started at 9, so you get... now, I do know they, like, if you look it up, it says, like, 8 to 11 or so, but that was, like, those first two shows that came on at 8 and 8:30 weren't really, like, part of the headliner. It wasn't Animaniacs, it wasn't anything. It was like older shows, but like the actual good shows started at 9, and then at 12 they would show a movie or something like that. But like 9 to 12 was my prime time. That was when I was out.
Yeah, when I was a kid, Fox to do that. Like, you would have cartoons starting at 6 a.m., but a lot of times they were just like repackaged old Looney Tunes or something like that, or something that was like a syndicated cartoon, and then you would get to the actual legitimate Fox programming at 8 or 9.
Yeah, so, and then not only that, let me see, besides that, there was Kids WB, which I grew up on, and then if Kids WB was playing something I just really didn't care about, I'll flip over to ABC Kids, and they would have, Pepper Ann, Lloyd, the Martian kid. They had a bunch of little stuff like that, and like that was what I would watch until like the next good show would come on. I did like that.
You probably grew up in an era where Saturday morning cartoons were very selective stations, whereas when I was a kid, every station had their own. UPN had its own, USA, WB, Fox, and of course the big three networks. You had tons to choose from. I feel sorry for any kids like now or maybe 10 years ago. They don't have a Saturday morning. They just have either the Cartoon Network, which is animation all day, or maybe Nickelodeon, and that's it. They don't have that. All right, let's look through the programming. What do I have? Okay, so I'll start off with this, maybe move over to that.
Because it wasn't until I got older where Cartoon Network actually tried to do like a Saturday morning type thing, and then Nickelodeon soon followed suit. But I know there was Fox Kids that was added much later for me. But the two that stuck around the longest was ABC Kids and Kids WB. And then, like I said, Fox Kids came later on. And that's actually when they actually had some really good shows on that one. And I kind of teetered off that way because, Kirby had his own TV show. Oh, right. I loved playing Kirby as a kid. So when I saw the TV show, I fell in love with the TV show. And
yeah, I think
Ultimate Muscle.
I think it was called basically the 4Kids Network, which was a syndicated package. They're the last of the Saturday morning blocks.
That's exactly what that was. But they, like I said, they had Kirby, Ultimate Muscle, the Sonic TV show as well too, Yu-Gi-Oh, and One Piece. Like that was, I think that was my first official taste of anime from One Piece that 4Kids had.
Yeah, I think I missed every single one of those. I don't think I saw them. By then, I was like starting to discover what was on the Cartoon Network after 8 o'clock. Some of the more sophisticated alternative, I guess, animation you would call it. So, what do you start your morning off with?
My morning started off actually around maybe, I would say it started around, let's say 9. It started out at 9. If it were up to me, if they said, look, you can do whatever TV shows you want to do, have whatever episodes, I would start off at 9. It gives everybody plenty of time to wake up, relax, whatever, get adjusted. And the first show that would come on would be my all-time favorite cartoon. It would be Ed, Edd n Eddy.
Nice.
I love that show. Like I literally have 2 other brothers, and and we would do crazy things, and I just look at it, and my mom would watch it, and she'd be disgusted, but she would laugh because she's like, "That's all three of y'all right there."
We did, Ed and Eddie, I think back in March, and I felt terrible because I had only seen maybe a dozen episodes, and my co-host, he knew the show inside and out, every single plot line, every character's little nuance, and I'm just sitting there going, yep, sure. You know what, you just carry this episode because I am failing horribly.
Carry the episode, man, you got this. But not to get too much into it, it does have some bit of continuity, but then again, it is kind of over the top. They are very self-aware. They break that fourth wall. Like, it is like, as a kid, you watch it for the fun and the hijinks, but then when I got older and watched, I'm like, yo, this is actually a really well-written cartoon. This isn't just stuff that's just thrown at a dartboard just to see if it sticks. No, it's actually pretty well written. So I would start that off at 9, and the first show would be Ed, Ed. After that, it'd be around 9:30. I sat there, I debated with myself. It was a toss-up. Originally, I said I want to do the original X-Men cartoon. I said no, I want to do X-Men Evolutions or the 1990 Spider-Man. 1990 Spider-Man was the first comic book series I had ever seen on cartoon, like in a cartoon form on TV, anything. My dad watched it. My mom watched it. We all watched it, and I was just like, "This is amazing."
Yeah, it's and pun intended, Amazing Spider-Man. If it hadn't been for the Batman series taking off, I don't think they would let the Spider-Man series dive so far into its mythology, have karaoke, like the arcs, would go on for episodes, which, you would see later in Justice. But you see a lot of the C and D level characters in there that wouldn't get their own series a few years earlier. And Marvel really embraced that universe.
Like that, I think that is one of the things. Is like that cartoon series, like you said, it embraced characters from all over. That was, and then they did crazy crossovers because in one episode they actually did like their little secret wars. It was like 4 or 5 episodes or so. The Beyonder was there, Captain America, Iron Man, the X-Men from the X-Men cartoon at the time, Fantastic Four. Everybody was there, and I'm just like, as a kid, one minute you're watching Spider-Man, next thing you know, you're watching everybody. Everybody. It's like it was literally an event.
Well, it's where it made up for where I would say Amazing Spider-Man and his Spider-Man and his amazing friends failed, where there was no continuity, where at best you got maybe the big top tier villains like Green Goblin. That was it, and it exhausted itself. I think that Spider-Man cartoon could have gone on much, much longer, but I think they got cold. And when they did Spider-Man Unlimited, which I know has fans, but I did not like it at all.
That is so. My thing is this: it was out of those two. Now, the other one that I would have picked would have been it would have been X-Men Evolution. The reason I picked that one over the original X-Men was this: X-Men Evolution had, in my opinion, just a much better character development. Like, they actually introduced characters into the show. They would be good one episode, slightly teeter off to the bad side, and the next thing you know, they are on the other side, and then they come back to being good characters. You've seen the backstories for a majority of them. It was equal parts character development, equal parts just in-your-face action and story. It's a complete series.
Well, I also think
some episodes...
Sorry, the design work on it, I think, is, and I know this is blasphemy to a lot of people, I think it's infinitely better than the 90 series, which was of its time, whereas X-Men Evolution had a look towards the future, not of that moment.
Yeah, and I think, here's what it is. I think that is like the pinnacle of like, hey, if we're going to do a comic book series on TV, have it animated, this is how you would do it. Because, like I said, some episodes would be a continuation from last week, and it's nothing but 30 minutes of fighting, or it might just be 30 minutes of story. It might be a comedic episode. It might be a sad episode. Everybody had everybody had a backstory, and their backstories overarched. It was literally like reading the comic book, and I think I enjoyed that the most. But X-Men Evolution, definitely a really good one. I think they even had a spin-off of that one, if if memory serves correctly, I think they have a spin-off. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't remember this one.
After that, it is now 10 o'clock. I'm probably working on my second bowl of cereal. Speaking of, here's something I thought about. I remember as a kid, French Toast Crunch, the Cinnamon Toast Crunch counterpart. It was little pieces of toast, and I love that cereal. I love that cereal.
They brought it back temporarily, I think, 2 summers ago, and I just grabbed a crap ton of boxes.
They did. Now, here's my thing. I don't know. Maybe it was just nostalgia, but when I got that box, like, last summer or so, right, it didn't taste as great as it did before.
Well, I think a lot of it's now they're adding more chemicals, more flavorants to cover up the fact that it's shoddy food. I don't. You're right. A lot of the stuff they bring back is not the same.
Because I remember, here's what it was. I remember it being sweet. I remember it being, real nice, real sweet, and I would get so excited to eat all the cereal so I could drink the milk. But when I did it again, when they brought it back, I was just like, this milk tastes trash. I don't like it. I felt so defeated. I'm like, I sat there and I waited. I debated on spending $40 and getting the Canadian version on Amazon one time. And
Did you?
I think I should have did that.
Okay, so I just want to feel like this is a tangent real quick, but I just noticed that Kellogg's now carries strawberry tiny toast, which is supposed to be their version of like the Cinnamon Toast Crunch. We're like, whatever flavors you haven't done yet, we're gonna attack. It's not very good.
Strawberry and I mean, I'm gonna hold out. Maybe somebody rip off the Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Now that I'm older, I still eat my Master Bowls of cereal. I just eat them throughout the day, and now I can mix them, and nobody can say anything about it.
You're like, I'm gonna eat this whenever I want.
That's the thing. I think, as far as the cereal goes, the ones that come in the bag, really huge bags, malt oatmeal, I believe, that is the way I go now.
Really?
They taste
stand them. They're terrible.
They taste so good, though. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe they just put more sugar in it.
I realize that I'm getting older because now I'm starting to look at like granola. There's a lot of hearty quality there. Oh yeah, I'm getting my money's worth and nutritional value instead of going over to sugar. So, oh, it's terrible. Don't get older, kids.
Don't do it because I'm in between the phase of saying I know I should eat the fiber one, but Fruit Loops are right next to it, so I think I'm gonna get the Fruit Loops this time. And next time I'll come back, I'll get the Nature Valley and I'll be cool. All right.
But
the Nature Valley is.
Did you ever meet a kid who would eat cereal that he was like, yeah, I just eat bacon and eggs? You're like, what is wrong with you? You're 8. You eat.
I met a kid. All he ate was Kix, and not even he just ate Kix.
That was like one of the worst cereals ever. Yes, I would like something that tastes like a mothball and also looks like it.
He swore up and down that Kix was the best thing ever, and I'm like, are you insane? Like your parents have lied to you. I think he thought Kix was the only cereal that ever existed.
There's a lot of the cartoons at this time that were having their own cereals. Was there ever any cereal from an animated series that you tried and you're like, oh, this is amazing, and one that was like, holy crap, this is garbage in a bag?
Let me see. I think Lucky Charms, Lucky Charms didn't have a show or anything like that, but I know, like, by the commercials, they always was there. They were always on TV. I think didn't Trix have a TV show? Somebody had a TV show.
I don't think so. I think there were just so much animated, like, commercials that it felt like it was a show. Like, for years I was convinced that Honey Smacks, the little frog, was it called? I think it was Honey Smacks. I was convinced that he had his own cartoon, and I looked back, no, I just saw the commercials so many times.
It was that, Tony the Tiger, was there a Frosted Flakes cartoon? Yes. There was. Okay, so I'm not tripping. All right, now.
The one that I had, the Spider-Man cereal from 1994 was jaw-dropping good. And every time they bring back a Spider-Man cereal, it tastes like hell in comparison. And I'm just like, why did you screw up the formula?
I think one cartoon I actually watched, they actually gave a shout-out to the Oreo cereal that came out at the time. And I will say this, the Oreo cereal was a privilege and not a right, because I would go to the store and it's just like, mom's ready to go, and you grab the Oreo cereal, and it was a lot more expensive than the other one. So it's just like, you can't get that. I'm like, okay. but I saw it on TV.
How long was this around? I never had Oreo cereal.
The Oreo cereal was like almost towards the end of the 90s, early 2000s. I know it was early 2000s. I remember that.
Man, I bet you they beat Cookie Crisp into the ground, because I've had Cookie Crisp. That tastes nothing like a chocolate chip cookie.
Absolutely not. But the Oreo cereal was literally like it was everything that it should have been. And then the milk, of course, the milk was the best part. So it's 10 o'clock now, and I'm going to my next cartoon of choice will actually be Gundam Wing. Reason I pulled that one out, Gundam Wing was the first, besides Dragon Ball Z. Oh, I didn't ever finish Dragon Ball Z as a kid, but Gundam Wing was the first anime that I started on Cartoon Network, sat through it, watched the first episode all the way to the end, watched the movie. I got the whole story, and I just was like, this is the best cartoon ever, and it will never get any better than this.
I surprisingly have never seen it. What's it about?
All right, so Gundam Wing is what we have is this. We have Earth, and then we have some people that left Earth to go establish space colonies. The space colonies got a little bit big-headed and said, hey, you know what? We're better than you guys on Earth. And so they waged this nice years-long war. It's devastation for both sides. The heroes that you have are 15, 16, 17, and they all represent, hey, I was on this side, I was on this side, hey, I'm a neutral party, all the different walks of life. But the cool thing is the story was really good. The animation was top-notch at the time, and also there were giant robots.
No, that's always a winner for me.
If you say giant robots, I'm in it. I don't care what the plot is. I will fast forward through the entire thing just to watch giant robots fight each other. And that's what it was. The appeal to it was giant robots.
You know, I have the same thing with kaiju films. I will fast forward through 3/4 of the movie until the two giant monsters are beating the snot out of each other. I'm like, this is all you need to make. I'll pay the same price for a half-hour film.
Like, if you just said, hey, you know what? This is Godzilla versus King Kong. There's no talking. There's no dialogue. They're just fighting for 30 minutes. I will give you money.
And it's the same thing for the robot. Stop talking. Show me the robot. Oh, we're good. We're good.
And I think they did that on purpose, because a lot of times it's just like they would spend they'll spend the entire episode hyping up this fight, and you finally get the fight 5 minutes in, and it's just like, oh, cliffhanger, we'll start it off on the next episode.
Makes you feel like you're ripped off. Like, oh, come on, I could have done something else in my half hour.
I wasted this time. After, now it's 10:30. I would have said the original Batman series, but I think I've shouted this one out before. That 10:30 slot definitely belongs to Batman Beyond. I don't think there's any way I could explain why. I think I've explained it before.
Yes, you have. Actually, that was the first episode we ever did.
All I have to say is Batman Beyond definitely belongs in that 10:30 spot. It's short, which I don't like. So I don't know, give it a couple weeks or so, and I'm already watching reruns, and that's okay. But it's still a really good series. Definitely something that should be watched, picked up again. I think that Batman Beyond did come on at 10:30 on Kids W. I know at 10 o'clock, Pokemon came in.
Yeah. And if everybody you want to hear more about us talking about Batman Beyond, the episode's up there. It's like episode 70 or something like that. It's back in March, right before Batman vs Superman came out.
Way before. About the let's see, and then at 11 o'clock. So it's 11 o'clock now. I think the plans have already been made of what I'm going to do today, but there's still an hour left. So right now, if I had it set up, I would do Samurai Jack.
Nice. And
Samurai Jack was literally a love-hate relationship for me as a kid, because I loved it, but my mom hated it.
Oh, really? Why? It was so artistic and beautiful. It's one of the best pieces of animation ever made.
I don't know. I think at first she was just like, no, you guys can't watch that. This just looks overly violent, this, that. And just like, Mom, we just watched Dragon Ball Z, and we saw a dude get shot in half, all right? Like, come on. it was a love-hate relationship because I loved it. My mom hated it. My dad was just like, whatever, you know. So when I actually did get around to watching it as when I got older, I was like, I'm so mad I missed out on all this because artistically speaking, some of those episodes have no dialogue, no sound, no music, nothing until like the last couple seconds. Or whatever. It might be a funny episode. It might be an action-packed episode. It might be an episode that will lead you one way in a whole nother way. Every episode, though it doesn't seem like it, it's still in sequential order. It's literally just follows the adventures of one guy trying to find his way back home to get revenge. But it's and that's without spoiling it because wow, there's plenty in there to talk about.
I remember Brett Ratner was trying to do a live action adaptation of this, and I was like, no. Look, some stuff in animation works in live action. This, you're gonna just destroy everything.
It does not, because everything about that show was artistic. The choice of music, the characters, the settings. Sometimes you saw a set and it looked really simple, but sometimes you saw a set and it looked very intricate, and it was all done on purpose. Like every little stroke was done on purpose. Like if he looks a certain way, it's because they want him to look like that. There was no corners cut during the process of that show. Now,
and that was the other torturous thing, is that you had to wait forever because it felt like it took so long to get the next season up and running because he was very, very particular about it. I love Jendy Tartovsky, but I wish he would show some of that style in his film work because I just don't see it in Hotel Transylvania.
I don't, and I think that's the thing. It's just like, not to say Hotel Transylvania was bad. It's just we saw the Clone Wars. Okay, the Clone Wars cartoon may have been one of the best things that Star Wars has ever attempted. And like I said, because it was still the same thing. How some episodes were artistic, some episodes were action-packed, some episodes were there to enhance the story, and you still had all these sides, these visuals. If something looked a certain way, it's because it was supposed to look that way. You felt a certain way because they drew it, one way versus another. And I'm like, this is just, it's too much.
Yeah.
Go back to Clone Wars. It's, like I said, there was one episode in Clone Wars where there is no dialogue spoken throughout the entire time, and it's just a bunch of clone troopers going through and doing what clone troopers do best. And I think that's like the second episode, and it just shows just how awesome, how diverse that cartoon was. If I can, I'll try to find it and link everybody to it because it definitely just needs to be seen.
Yeah. I gotta go back watching Clone Wars. I only watched the first season. I watched the movie. I never actually did. But Samurai Jack, that's something I believe I finished, but I'm starting to have hazy memories, so I'm going to go revisit that too. But I will say that of my top 10 cartoons of all time, that is. And when I do, I've done one episode where I talked about pre-1980 animation being on my list. Now I'm going to do one after, 1980 till now. And you're going to see Samurai Jack on there because there's no way you can ignore that. And it's weird how that has kind of faded away from the zeitgeist. Whereas some other animated shows I think that are inferior are still insanely popular.
Yes. And then for my last pick, I think my last pick will probably be my most controversial pick because I understand how people feel about the newer line of cartoons. And I get you guys. I really do. Because here's something. When Teen Titans came out, everybody loved Teen Titans. It was an instant classic. When Teen Titans Go came out, everybody was like, hey, you know what? This is not well received. The people that made Teen Titans Go has never even seen an episode of the original Teen Titans. So now I would understand why people would give it that hate. But after watching it, I'm just like, hey guys, this hate's kind of unwarranted. All right, let's just take our rose color, let's just take our rose colored glasses off. Let's give it a chance because it's actually pretty funny. So I gave Teen Titans Go a chance. I urge everybody else to give it a chance. But that's not the show I'm picking. The show that I'm picking will be Adventure Time.
Nice.
The reason,
I thought that Teen Titans was a warm up to like Young Justice, and I was like, "What's coming next?"
Oh
he
no!
threw me for a loop.
I had to throw everybody for the little loop there. The reason why I would say Adventure Time is because Adventure Time embraces a lot of things that we as kids, like when we were kids, we watched that, we experienced that, we felt that. But since we were kids, we didn't know what it was. We felt sad, for a reason, but we didn't actually understand the scope of why or how. But with Adventure Time, I think the people that came together that made that knew who their audience was. It wasn't for the 13 and 14-year-old that's out now. It's for that kid that grew up on cartoons. It's for that, because a lot of those episodes, the story that is presented to you is very, very, very mature. We're talking about a war in here. We're talking about disease. We're talking about social issues today, from economic standings to even things like gay rights. It's all in there, and it's just like this show. Even though a kid could watch it and like it and understand half the jokes, it takes somebody who grew up on these Saturday cartoons to appreciate the art form of it, the story of it, the action of it. Why is this character fighting? He's not just fighting because, it's that time. He's fighting because there's a story, there's a motive, there's something behind it, Adventure Time is definitely, it's a couple seasons long. It jumps back and forth. There's past, there's a present, there's a future, there's alternate timelines. It gets crazy. And I think that even though I know how people feel about the new cartoons that are out today, definitely, if you have to give one a chance, give Adventure Time a chance. If not Adventure Time, give Regular Show a chance, because that show is hilarious.
Yeah, I think the animation of, I would say, of your youth and currently, they're more focused on the expansive world, and the stories are all interconnected. When I was a kid, finding a good cartoon was very, very difficult, because a lot of it was just like, what celebrity is open to doing a cartoon? Crap like that. A known property. And none of the stories were interconnected. Literally, someone could basically just be like broken to bits in one episode. Next week, they're completely fine. There's no, cause and effect. It's called the G.I. Joe rule, where you're in a plane, they're all shooting lasers, and of course it blows up, but they come out in a parachute. Where nothing really has any weight, is what I'm saying. It was all just generic fluff, poorly animated generic fluff is what I should say. And then all of a sudden the 90s come around, and it kickstarts this revolution, which still carries on today, of this independent way of designing something. For one, the look on each cartoon is so wildly different, and two, that the stories matter. Even if it is just meant for kids, it still has a weight.
It still does have some weight to it. Other cartoons, like I said, other cartoons that are out now that have some nice little weight to it. Honorable mentions, I guess, for that last slot would be, like I said, Regular Show, because Regular Show is as pure as a cartoon as you can get. There is no continuation to it. There is no moral to it. It's literally just good, clean fun. And if my dad, who sits down and watches the news all day and sports, goes out of his way to watch Regular Show all day, that's pretty much the mark of a good show for me. Nice. Gravity Falls will be the other show that I was considering, because I do like my shows with a bit of sci-fi in it. And Gravity Falls is perfect for that little kid who can't just watch X-Files, who can't watch X-Files just yet, but you can let him watch
that kind of mythology, without the all. What does that mean? Why is that so disgusting? Why do I feel like throwing up? Why is there a tape monster?
What's the Illuminati? So Gravity Falls would have almost took that spot, but we'll just leave it there. But like I said, now here's the best part about Saturday. It's now 12 o'clock, and the WB has advertised that, hey, we'll be playing this boring movie that you've never seen before, and your mom gets excited because she's like, I haven't seen that movie in years. Get out the house because I'm watching this movie.
I remember we used to have this tiny, tiny little TV, and it was all black and white. It was like a 6-inch TV at best, and they would kick me out of the house, and I would play baseball for maybe about a half hour, and then I would just sit there in the backyard or whatever, just watching TV in black and white. I don't know. I could be doing stuff, but I'm like, nope, just gonna sit here and watch TV outside. I know, it's terrible.
I think one of the things that I did do, because as a kid, sometimes we had cable, sometimes we didn't. I know a couple of those times my mom would kick me out the house. I'm like, all right, Mom, I'm going outside now. And I'd go to a friend's house, and he had cable, so we watched Cartoon Network, play some games. That was actually the highlights right there.
Yeah.
And you come home, it's like 7 o'clock. Where have you been all day? I was outside.
All right, so that is any other honorable mentions before we go?
I think the last honorable mention that I could do is a show that I recently picked up, Steven Universe. Steven Universe is definitely more in your face with the more popular topics of today. And when I say the popular topics, I mean the awkward topics that nobody likes to talk about.
I've never even heard of this cartoon. What channel is this on?
Steven Universe is Cartoon Network.
Is it really new? Because my cable provider pulled Cartoon Network, and I've been furious because I watch Adult Swim a lot, and I really love the Eric Andre show, and I need that fix,
oh my.
And I'm pissed. I can't watch it.
I would put Eric Andre on there, but this is a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, well, also Eric Andre isn't animated. Here's my problem with Adult Swim. Adult Swim started off with like these kind of punk rock, do-it-yourself cartoons, and then all of a sudden, like 6 or 7 years ago, they're like, yeah, we're just going to do mostly live-action stuff now and just show Family Guy reruns, which, if you listen to the show, I have huge disdain for Family Guy. So I just basically don't watch Adult Swim except for that little chunk where Eric Andre is, and that's about it.
I share your somewhat disdain for Family Guy, because sometimes it's like brilliance, Sometimes it's in your face with what they want and what they want to say.
Yeah.
And then other times it's just like, okay, that was pretty dumb. Like Simpsons did that one already.
Right. I was completely on board the first 4 or 5 seasons of Family Guy, and then it just kind of exhausted me. And then I feel like he stretched out his talent, his writers, by doing American Dad and the Cleveland Show all at the same time. And I'm like, okay, maybe you got like one good episode out of every 6 because you've stretched yourself so thin. I guess that maybe now that Family Guy is kind of like the only thing now that he has, right? Is that the only running?
Because I know the Cleveland Show is done. I know Family Guy, even though they said they were going to cancel it, I mean that's almost like the running joke of that show. Even though they said they were going to cancel it, it's back on. There's new episodes. There's new characters, and I'm just sitting here like, you guys killed Brian, and then you brought him back.
Oh, they brought him back.
They brought. It was a cheap way to. It was really cheap. Like I can't even just. It was bad writing.
All right. Before we meander off into another topic, that is it for us here at Back in Tunes. Thank you, Avery, for doing this episode with me. If you like our little, what's the word I'm looking for here? Our chemistry, I guess, if you want to say that. We're going to be coming back with season 2 of Comics on Infinite Earths in March, and you can check us out some of the previous episodes we did for season 1, but they're really sporadic, and I promise season 2 is going to be more regular instead of one every... I'm sure I tortured you with that. I'm very sorry.
Oh, no. I think it was... I felt the worst about it because it's just like, when I make an appointment, I do everything I can to meet that appointment, but boy, when your job wants you, they will find a way, like,
it's the life of retail. We have to do what we have to do. This is just for fun. So check out those old episodes. Get ready for season 2, which you are pretty much curating the list for. I'm just gonna try to find what you want to discuss, and that is pretty much it here. That's it. Everybody, be excellent to each other now more than ever, and have a good night.
We're out, guys.
Take it easy.